In the age before the Great Sundering, Night Elf civilization sprawled across much of the continent of Kalimdor. Numerous settlements, towns, and grand cities dotted the land, all centered around the capital, Elundris. Later renamed Zinashari after the Queen Ashara took the throne, the city was the center of civilization, and at its heart stood the Highborn. The Highborn dug deep into the magical energies of the Well of Eternity, seeking knowledge, power. The Highborn became masters of the arcane, and cut themselves off from lesser folk. Zinashari was not the only place for arcane research, however. To the east lay the land of Azsuna, and at its center, the city of Narthalis. Led by Prince Ferondis, Azsuna was a center for magical research, boasting a prestigious academy. For many years, Azsuna prospered, favored by the Highborn, with Prince Ferondis serving as one of Ashara's trusted advisors. And then Ferondis did the unthinkable. He chose to defy his queen and destroy the Well of Eternity. Within the court of Ashara, the Highborn reached deeper and deeper into the Well's energies. Their experiments grew reckless, and eventually ripples of their power radiated into the twisting nether. Demons of the nether began to take notice of their powers, and eventually word of the Well reached the fallen Titan himself. Azeroth, the world's soul Sargeras had been searching for, had finally been found. Sargeras set to work manipulating the Highborn, seducing them with promises of unimaginable power. All they had to do was open the path for Sargeras to enter their world. And so the Highborn set to work, creating a portal through the power of the Well of Eternity. When word of Ashara's plan reached Prince Ferondis, he saw the manipulation for what it was. Azsuna was far enough from Zinashari that Ferondis was not affected by the demon's influence, and observed the corruption of Ashara's court with clarity. He quickly formulated a plan. In his possession was the Pillar of Creation, known as the Tidestone of Golganath. Bestowed upon the Titan-forged keepers many ages ago to assist in the shaping of Azeroth, the Pillars of Creation held great power and were eventually lost, scattered across the ancient continent of Kalimdor, only to be dug up by Night Elven archaeologists many years later. With the power of the Tidestone, Ferondis planned to destroy the Well of Eternity itself, cutting the Highborn off from their power and stopping the demonic invasion before it even began. One member of Ferondis' court, however, caught wind of Ferondis' plan. Vandross hurried to Zinashari to warn Ashara of Ferondis' betrayal. Ashara, keen on punishing this insurrection, released a frightening display of arcane power, destroying the Tidestone. The resulting explosion of dark energy washed over Azsuna, ravaging much of the land and cursing its people. The spirits of the elves of Azsuna would be denied the release of death, fated to wander the land for eons to come. As the centuries passed, the cities of Azsuna fell to ruins. The people turned on Ferondis, blaming him for their cursed existence. Eventually, the lay ruins of Zarkanar to the north were overtaken by Nightfallen, Nightborn elves exiled from Suramar and from the sustenance of the Nightwell. They succeeded in tapping into the ley lines running under Azsuna, feeding off the mana to keep themselves from withering away. The Nightfallen have also been a thorn in the side of the Blue Dragonflight, who call a part of Azsuna their home and rely on the mana from the ley lines. The Dragonflight is forced to constantly repel the Nightfallen, seeking to suck the mana from their young. To the south, on an island off the coast of Azsuna, the Night Elf Wardens built a prison here after the War of the Ancients. The Vault of the Wardens was used to imprison a number of powerful and dangerous beings, including demons, elementals, and later, the bulk of Illidan's demon hunters, as well as Illidan himself, following his defeat at the Black Temple on Outland. It was this vault that was one of the first targets of the Legion's third invasion of Azeroth. Gul'dan, arriving on Azeroth from another timeline, used the Legion's forces to cause chaos in the vault, releasing many of the prisoners held in the vault's wards. With his freshly corrupted warden minion, Cordana Felsong, Gul'dan entered the vault and sought out the body of Illidan Stormrage. Maiev awoke the imprisoned demon hunters, beseeching them to help in repelling the Legion assault and confronting Gul'dan. Gul'dan ultimately took the body of Illidan Stormrage, leaving Maiev and the Wardens with no choice but to abandon the vault and regroup for a concentrated assault at a later time. After the initial strike upon the Vault of the Wardens, Azsuna found itself the site of all-out war. On its western shores, one of the Legion's dimensional ships has landed and begun pouring troops into the land. The demon hunters freed from the vault have drawn battle lines, doing everything they can to keep the demons from washing over Azsuna. Nalga have arisen from the depths, searching for the fabled Pillar of Creation once held by Prince Ferondus and his people. They've taken to assaulting the ruins of Narthalis, clashing with the spirits of the once noble elves of Azsuna. The blue dragonflight of Azsuna have also found themselves in a tight spot. Since the fall of Deathwing, the aspects in the dragonflights are a shade of their former power. One of the consequences of this is the lost ability to reproduce. Those whelplings alive now will be some of the last dragons to walk the face of Azeroth. As such, the blue dragonflight is doing everything in its power to protect its home and its brood. Senegos, leader of the blue dragons of Azsuna, is aged and dying, resorting to soaking in a pool of mana to stay alive. His granddaughter, Stelagosa, attempted to attack the demon invaders and finds herself captive deep within their foothold. And the Whelplands, where the blue dragon's whelps are kept safe, is under heavy assault by withered, Nightfallen who have succumbed to their hunger and are desperate for any mana they can get their hands on. After the mage city of Dalaran is teleported above the Broken Isles, Khadgar, now the leader of the Kirin Tor, is anxious to begin looking for the Pillars of Creation. Heroes from all over Azeroth prepare for the coming war, and Khadgar accompanies one of these heroes to Azsuna, in hopes of locating one of the pillars. It is with these pillars that Khadgar believes Azeroth's heroes can repel the invasion and seal the portal opened at the tomb of Sargeras, and finding these pillars is his top priority in the War of the Broken Isles. He hopes that the Illidari fighting the demons in Azsuna have a hint for where to find one of the pillars. When Khadgar and the hero land at the Illidari's battlefront, the hero immediately sets out to counter the Legion. Eventually, they are sent to locate Corvos Bloodthorn and Cyana Nightglaive, demon hunters sent to lead a small force behind enemy lines. The force has been splintered, and the hero finds Corvos and helps her free the demon hunters captured by the Legion. In doing so, they learn that Cyana has fallen prey to the Legion's manipulations and turned traitor. Corvos and the hero locate and free the blue dragon Stelagosa before confronting Cyana and her manipulator, Cordana Felsong. With Stelagosa free and Cyana defeated, Khadgar and the hero head to the Azure Wing Repose to meet with Senegos in the hopes that he can assist in locating one of the pillars. They find Senegos in his weakened state, and Khadgar uses his magic to ease some of Senegos' suffering. Senegos does indeed know of a Pillar of Creation, the Tidestone of Golganath, once held by the court of Ferondus, now shattered to pieces. Senegos sends the hero south, to the ruins of Narthalis, but as the hero leaves to track down the pillar, word of another Nightfallen attack on the Whelplands reaches Senegos. The hero follows Stelagosa to the Whelplands to find it overrun with withered. As they fight back against the desperate, mana-hungry elves, the hero encounters a Nightfallen still hanging on to his senses. Runas the Shamed, after being beaten down by the hero, claims that he wants to make amends. He learns of Senegos' weakening state and offers his aid. Nightfallen, led by Aelith, have learned to draw mana from the very land itself through the power of the ley lines. With the Nightfallen stealing the mana from Azsuna, the mana pools at Azure Wing Repose are losing their power, making them less effective in easing Senegos' condition, and limiting the powers of the blue dragons as a whole. The hero follows Runas to the ley ruins of Zarkanar, and confronts Aelith and his lieutenants. With each siphon cut off from the ley lines, Senegos grows stronger, and eventually the hero clashes with Aelith himself. Before they can deal the final blow, however, Aelith runs off. Stelagosa meets with the hero, and on their way back to Azure Wing Repose, they spot a large force of Withered marching towards the dragon's home. They arrive to find Senegos swarmed by Withered, Khadgar and the blue dragons doing all they can to defend their home and help their elderly leader. The hero chases one of the Nightfallen into a cave, where they find Runas, who had arrived in hopes of forewarning the hero of the attack, before finally succumbing to the hunger and becoming withered himself. Finally, Aelith arrives to face Senegos, and the hero is able to put him down for good and end the assault on the dragons. To the south, on the outskirts of the ruins of Narthalis, the hero finds Ferondus' people under siege by the Naga. The hero fights their way to Prince Ferondus himself, who is treated rather poorly by his people. The prince offers to help the hero find the Tidestone in exchange for the hero's help in pushing back the Naga assault and retrieving the desecrated bones of his people. Ferondus leads the hero towards the heart of Narthalos, where they find the city overrun with Naga, led by Athissa, and encounter more of Ferondus' people. The hero confronts Athissa, but fails to kill her. They also learn of the events that led to Ferondus and his people's cursed existence, and discovers why the people of Narthalos treat Ferondus with such contempt. Returning to Ferondus, the prince seems worried at how close the Naga truly are to claiming the Tidestone. The hero and Ferondus rush off to the Narthalos Academy, once the very center of magical research in Azsuna and much of Azeroth. The hero enters the academy, and with a little persuasion, gains access to the room where the Tidestone is kept. The hero is then ambushed by Athissa and her champion, Warlord Parjesh. It is left up to Ferondus to chase down the hero and free them from their captivity. Ferondus confronts Athissa and Parjesh, but the two flee, Athissa with the Tidestone and Parjesh with the hero. Ferondus pursues Parjesh, and is, at the last moment, stopped by a shadowy Naga figure. The Naga reassumes her former appearance. Azsuna, former queen of the Night Elves, the woman who cursed Ferondus and his people, who let the demons into Azeroth, and the current leader of the Naga. Azsuna attempts to bribe Ferondus, kneel before her, and perhaps she can do something about the curse that has afflicted his people for so long. Ferondus lets out his anger, enraged at Azsuna for cursing his people, for leading demons into the once proud Night Elven civilization, and now for setting her Naga forces on the ruins of their home. He attacks Azsuna, who proves to be but an image, and rushes in to save the hero from the Naga. The hero escapes, and hurriedly confronts Athissa and defeats her. In the end, Warlord Parjesh flees with the Tidestone to the island off the coast of Azsuna, known as the Eye of Azsuna. Ferondus' people rushed to Ferondus' aid during the fight with Athissa. For 10,000 years they believed Azsuna had cursed them over Ferondus' petty politicking. Now, having watched Ferondus once more defy Azsuna, and learning that she leads the vile Naga, the people's view of Ferondus shifts, from traitor to hero. For 10,000 years they shamed Ferondus, spat at his name, and for 10,000 years Ferondus bore the weight of their hatred. Now, they stand behind Ferondus as he begins to look for a cure to their cursed state. The hero eventually chases after Parjesh, and finds the now reconstructed Tidestone in the hands of an elemental known simply as the Wrath of Azsuna. The Tidestone is recovered and placed within the chamber of the Guardian in Dalaran. Elsewhere in Azsuna, giants have kidnapped shipwrecked people of all races to fight in their arena, for their amusement. Along the shores of Azsuna, one of Sylvanas' ships is separated from the fleet in a storm and shipwrecked, its crew becoming prisoners to the Makrana. It's discovered that the Legion has a hold on this faction of Makrana, and further south, the Wardens war with the Legion in an attempt to take back their vault. They eventually come to a trade-off with the Demon Hunters. The Illidari help the Wardens to quell some of the threats released from the vault, and in turn, the Wardens help the Illidari find the lost Sargerite keystone, which is discovered in the depths of the vault, in the hands of Cordana Fellsong. Many thousands of years ago, Azsuna was a beautiful land, home to a thriving civilization of Night Elves and a center for research into the arcane. Now, it is scattered with ruins of the cities that once stood bright, infested with Naga and Mana-starved Nightfallen, and beset by war with the Legion. It is here that one of the pillars of creation is uncovered, and it is the hope of many blue dragons and cursed Night Elves that, in time, Azsuna can be restored to the peace and prosperity it once knew, so many years ago.